Hello, my name is Anthony. Welcome to this session that discusses the new batch run portal, which is available in 24A in the Oracle Utilities Cloud Services. In this session, we'll talk about this new feature and how it can impact your business. I will give you an overview of the new batch run portal, followed by more detail to explain how to use it and the benefits to your business. Then we'll walk you through a demonstration. Finally, we'll explain what you need to consider when implementing this product in your business and provide you with some additional resources. The new batch run portal has been introduced into 24A to replace the batch run tree. With the increased usage of the cloud services for batch workload, the batch run tree was deemed inefficient for helping user understand executions of workload. A new portal was developed to provide the same information as the batch run tree, though in a simpler fashion to improve effectiveness. The idea is not only provide the same information in a more intuitive way, but provide added value by providing inbuilt analytics to help users better understand executions of batch processes. With the introduction of the new batch architecture, this new portal provides a more efficient means to show large numbers of threads more efficiently whilst working with the original batch architecture for backward compatibility. Whether the job runs one thread or thousands, the new portal shows this information more efficiently. Lastly, the do not attempt restart function now has context, so it cannot be abused. So, what does this new portal show that the batch run tree could not? The key focus of the portal is to provide the same information, but in a more logical manner that is both effective and efficient. This also means that we can introduce additional information that was omitted from the batch run tree. Here are some of the major differences. Batch submission information is now included in the portal if available. This includes which method was used to initiate the work and by whom, as well as the parameters used to execute the workload. Restarts are clearly indicating what parameters were used at restart time to track consistency. Threads are now on their own zone, which can be filtered accordingly to concentrate on aspects of the execution. This zone supports save views, which allows for customization and saving of the view for later reuse. New dedicated tabs now list aspects of the execution to allow for better focus, including a dedicated error tab, which shows the errors across all threads, as well as a summary of the to-do entries as a consequence of the execution, and a file tab, which shows the files created both explicitly or dynamically by the process. Inbuilt analytics to help perform common analysis for the runtime are now included, such as thread analysis including histograms to highlight data skew issues, comparison of this execution with the last 20 executions to visually detect anomalies, and also to show jobs that were running at the same time to see if capacity issues became a factor in the execution time. Now let's take a look at the new batch run portal. Welcome to the demonstration of the batch run portal. You can navigate to the batch run portal using the menus or typing batch run in the unified search. When you navigate to that screen, you're presented with a search, and you can search by batch control, batch number, batch rerun number on certain dates and a status. What I'm going to do is show you various examples of the batch run portal using various pieces of data. Here is an example of a job that has errored. I will show other examples as we go through. As you can see, this job, it's a CMA job, has errored out, and it was 5 threads, and 2 records were processed, or 2 data sets. As you can see from this, the summary of the main information is as was in the batch run tree, but at the summary level, and gives you a duration in a new format, and also gives you dynamic information about threading and records processed. This section of this screen will change depending on the information in the tabs, as we see here. Over here, we'll have a summary of the thread information. Please note, the graph is only shown if there's more than one status. If they're all complete or all at another state, this graph is not shown. It's disabled because it will just simply be a dot. So you can see here that some are complete and some are in error. Okay, so here down under batch jobs information, you can see that this job actually had a initial execution and then a restart. I can see the parameters for these jobs, these instances, by clicking on broadcast, and I can see the parameters that were set for each of the executions. And you can see that it was actually executed outside the system and what user executed it. So this is the main example of a main screen, and you can see the information shown in a more user-friendly format. One thing I should point out here, that the do not attempt to restart switch is not shown here. If it was able to be shown and available to you, it would be marked as a button here. This is an example of a multi-threaded job. As I pointed out last time, if the threads are all in one state, there's no graph. This is complete, and 10 threads were executed and over 1,000 records were processed. And it was actually just one execution by me. And you can see the parameters that were used. Now if I navigate to the Threads tab, I can see the individual threads. As in this case, it's 10 threads. I can see when they started, ended. I can see the duration and how many records are were processed, and the instance. Additionally, if there are logs available at the thread level, there'll be icons here. So they only appear if the log is available to you and that you have permission to view it. Otherwise, in this case, the log is not available to me, or I haven't got permission to view it. So there's no buttons here. I can also download the job ones at the high level from here. I can also set up my own filters and my own column configuration, so this view can be customized to suit your needs. If there are any messages associated with the threads in the errors or other tabs, you'll see a click here to jump to that tab to see the information. But as you can see here, the threads, you can then filter the threads by state or from a thread number if you've got a large number of threads, and this is paged. This is an example of an execution which has errors, and as you can see, the errors are listed by message number and category, and you can go and look at the messages from here. Error messages and information messages appear depending on the job that's set up, and you can see there's quite a few error messages here. You can also see that information on the main tab, and you can see it here where it says records in error 42. So if I click onto the error tab, I'll then see the summary of the errors. This view can be filtered by severity as well as text. If there are to-do entries created for the batch job, a summary of those to-do entries as well as their state will appear on the error tab, as is shown in this example. As you can see here, there are a number of errors here, to-do entries associated. You can see the states of them. I can broadcast them and see them. It will only show a summary of a sample. It won't show every one. It will show a certain number of them just to give you an idea what the error messages are by message text and to-do type. If your batch job produces files either explicitly or dynamically during the process, those files are listed in the Files tab. As you can see here, there's a manifest file as well as the file itself. We don't have links to navigate to them, but you can navigate to the file system and look at the files directly. Again, you can filter them by file name if you've got large numbers of file names. If the job is multi-threaded, we have a thread analysis tab, which gives you 3 metrics as well as histograms. So we've got throughput, which is records per second, the volume, and the elapsed time. Now we give you a summary of the records per second by thread. We also give you what's called a histogram, and histograms are very important as they give you where the distribution of those threads are based on the metric. So as you can see here, the majority of the jobs based on throughput ended between 100% to 125% of the elapsed of the time for the throughput. One thread ended very early, which was reflected in the data, as you can see here. You can also look at the volume. Again, the volume also has this skew. And if you look at the elapsed time, you can see here it's broken up a bit more. So you can see that there's actually 3 trenches, a very early ending, and majority ended between 100 and 125% of the elapsed time, and then the 125% percentile was a smaller amount. And you can hover over to get more information. You can also see the graph, the raw information on the graph here, and also on the data tab. The last tab is the history tab, and this is another set of analytics which was never in the batch run tree but is now in the batch run portal. This will show you the last 20 executions for the run, with the run that you're currently on highlighted, so you can see whether the run was consistent. In this case it wasn't, and you can see the number of records processed was consistent roughly, but the elapsed time wasn't. And then you can see some detailed analysis of the run of those 20 runs. Now the interesting thing about this execution, this zone, is that you can also see whether the parameters used for the job were different to the current execution, and whether they were the same. In this case, they're all different to the current job. Now, if you are using snapshots, you keep them up to date, and there are a few batch jobs to do that, as I'll talk about soon. We can also see what was running at the same time as this job. And you can see in this case, the object monitor was running at the same time as the import. And the reason why that's important is this is for socialization of the job. You can see whether other jobs were competing for resources on that machine at the same time. In this implementation advice section, we'll go through what you need to consider before enabling this feature in your business, and what you need to know to set it up. This is an automatic replacement for the batch run tree. The batch run tree has been disabled to use this new portal instead. By default, the new portal takes advantage of the infrastructure provided for analytics, so reuses a snapshot for deep analysis. It's highly recommended to run the synchronization jobs regularly, listed here, to ensure you have access to those analytics. Failure to do so will not show these analytics. For additional information about this new batch run portal, see the background process section on Oracle Help Center, which is available from docs.oracle.com. Additionally, you can access the Batch Best Practices technical paper for additional advice on this capability. This concludes this presentation. Thank you for watching.